Wisteria, energy, twister.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the last episode of the F, for example, well, just the F actually, in our fairies, because after that we'll move on to G, but these are the last couple of ones in F. The Fuathan. Fuathan is a singular Fuath. They are a grouping of water spirits in Scotland. The word in Gaelic has several meanings, including hatred, aversion, spectre, but when the definitive article "an" is used, it is translated as the fairies. Carmichael describes the word Fuath thusly: a spectre, a kelpie, demon, a water fiend, frequenting glens, rivers, and waterfalls. Campbell describes them as dangerous beings who seem to be a blend of fairies and ghosts. Many different kinds of fairies fall into the wider categories of the Fuathan, and while they do have a strong water connection, it is fair to say that the term is often used the same way the word fairy is in English to encompass all otherworldly beings. They're generally described as fair-haired and human-like overall in form, but with some telling signs, such as webbed hands and feet, and tails or missing noses. They are often categorized as water fairies, to the point that several sources include Folklore, gloss them as naiads. However, Campbell in the Gaelic Otherworld argues against this, saying that this view is based on one over-eager folklorist opinion based on a single story. Like some other fairies, Fuathan are averse to iron and do not like crossing fresh water. They can also be killed by light, according to some folklore, but not all. The Felja, a Norse concept, Felja, may be an independent protective spirit or project a part of the person's own soul. And when it is the person's own soul, it usually takes an animal form. It can follow family lines, and there are examples in Norse myth of this happening. Families who inherited through generations, they seem to be primarily attached to one individual, but would also aid family members. They're often compared to or equated to fetchers, but they lack any sense of ill omen. In contrast, the Felja was viewed as positive and seen as both protector and luck-bearing. It was common for a person's Felja to be of the opposite gender, although we should note that in tales this occurs most often with men having female. There's usually sexual elements or relationships, and they were not uncommon between man and women, especially the Felja women. They may mean follower or following, and they can act in decisive ways to aid the human they are connected to, providing knowledge as well as physical protection. Claude Lecoultre strongly connects the Norse concept of the Felja to fairies, arguing that Celtic examples of fairy women who act as tutelary spirits and protectors of family lines, as well as those who attach themselves to individual humans, are the same beings that the Norse would label the Feljes. They are referred to as spirit doubles, but not all the time. But they point out they do have many similar characteristics. So, it's basically like a guardian spirit or some sort of guardian that follows the family for generations. Not always, some are only there for a short period of time and then they vanish. But as you can see, the more we go on, the more we learn that spirits in general do come under fairies because, like I said, fairy is just a word for otherworldly beings, not for a single being, but for many otherworldly beings, including spirits. That's why I always say there's us and them, because it doesn't mean just one thing. Thank you for listening to this part of the fairies, and we have now finished the F. When we come back, we'll be on the G's.
Wisteria, energy, twister.